not appreciating that, but this approach will try to move away from that. Yes.
This week we present another special episode of Quality Digest Live from Quality Expo in Chicago.
That's right, we'll be telling you all about the show, plus looking at brand loyalty and developing entrepreneurs when we come back.
So the question was,
This episode of Quality Digest Live is sponsored by Nikon Metrology, offering the most complete, innovative line of metrology products. Welcome back to Quality Digest Live for September 11th, 2013. QDL is your weekly look at who and what is making the news in the world of quality. I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest.
And I'm Quality Digest publisher Mike Richmond. Well, as Dirk mentioned, and as you can probably hear, we're coming to you today live from McCormick Place in Chicago, where Quality Expo 2013 is underway. Now, this is always a great show for quality professionals within the manufacturing sector. Dirk and I and the rest of the QD team here on site have seen a lot of great new test and measurement products over the past few days, and one of these, the ALTERA CMM from Nikon Metrology, will be featured in our Tech Corner segment coming up in just a few moments.
That's right.
That's right. And yesterday we broadcast a Technology Live with Creaform, featuring their Metroscan and HandyProbe technologies for shop floor 3D measurement. If you missed it, you'll have an opportunity to check out that webinar, that Technology Live, on demand next week. And there's also an interesting robotics and automation theater, as you can probably hear, right over there. And
hey, applause!
Applause, that's right. So it might be a little noisy, and that's what that's all about. But it's not just about hardware. Yesterday I had the pleasure of attending a presentation from a longtime QD contributor, Bill Levinson, who looked at the recent strikes from fast food workers through his usual prism, the eternal wisdom of
Henry Ford.
Henry Ford, that's right. So watch out for an article on this topic from Bill in Quality Digest Daily coming up very soon. So Dirk, hey, it's been a busy couple of days. What have your impressions been so far?
Well, I tell you, I mean, obviously, like you said, there's a lot to see here. It's a very interesting show to go through, a lot of equipment, a lot of good speakers. But actually, the thing that really struck me the most is how even a lot of the larger companies have really kind of downsized their booths. I mean, you're used to coming to these shows to, let's say, Quality Expo, and you'll see gargantuan booths, 50 by 50 booths, 60 by 60 booths. And now, you know, mostly even the large companies are doing 20 by 20 booth space, maybe 30 by 30. I think only one of them had a very large booth. So that was actually a little bit different to see.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure whether it's the economy or what's going on. I don't necessarily believe it's a reflection on trade shows, but it might be.
I think there's a lot of factors. I mentioned, jokingly admitted to you before, that miniaturization of products. You know, I mean, some of these.
That's it. The products are smaller. We can have a smaller booth.
But I think it's a lot. I think you hit it on the head. I think there's fewer people here. I think certainly there feels like there's fewer people here in the hall. A little less space and a little less space, booth space per booth, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of ways to get information. This show, live broadcasting, is one of them. Right. And I think people, we're still going to come to trade shows. We're having great conversations here with people. People that are in booths are having good conversations with those that are here. So I don't think trade shows are going to go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Going forward.
Well, let's talk about, since we're at a trade show, there's a lot of brands. So let's talk about brand loyalty. What is it, and how do you keep it? Well, Gallup recently surveyed more than 4 million customers to gather data on brand loyalty, and it found that 1 in 5 customers, that's about 20%, is actively disengaged from a brand. They feel, actually, that the brands they've patronized for so long are actually breaking their promises. Now, before we go a little further, let me summarize what Gallup defines as actively engaged or actively disengaged customers. An actively engaged customer are those that are strongly emotionally attached to your brand. They will go out of their way to locate their favorite product or service, and they won't accept substitutes. Those are the kind of customers we all want, right? And maybe an example of this might be Apple fanatics. We all know those people that are die-hard Apple. They buy everything Apple. Or that's kind of on the extreme end, but maybe extreme brand loyalty. But even, let's say, just Costco customers. They like going there. They like the products. They like the prices. They like the attitude of the employees, even. Friendly employees.
Yeah, and we've heard about this through like Net Promoter Score, NPS, which is a big metric, where they try to quantify a little bit word of mouth. I mean, people that really, really are dedicated to your brand will spread that enthusiasm around, and it's going to really benefit your brand very much when they hear it from somebody that has used it and they like it.
Right. That gets us actually to what on the other end of the spectrum, what happens when you have actively disengaged customers. Those customers are completely detached from your company and its products and services. They will switch brands, they will kick you to the curb in a heartbeat if it is at all possible. If it isn't possible, if they're locked into you for whatever reason, they will become antagonistic towards your brand and they will badmouth you whenever they can. That's just super, right? And an example that comes to mind, is Walmart.
Yeah.
A lot of people use Walmart because honestly, they do have low prices, they have a wide selection of product, but a survey that we did a long time ago, and many customer surveys that have come out say a lot of people use Walmart because honestly, if you got a family to feed and you're low income or medium income, it makes sense to shop where you're going to get the most value for their dollar. Same people say they don't like shopping there.
Yeah.
And they're antagonistic toward the brand.
Well,
they shop there because they have to.
And the antagonism now is so much more powerful than it was even 5 years ago with things like Yelp and
Right.
the ability for people to actually broadcast in a really huge way their dissatisfaction. When you say that somebody's locked in, if you're contractually locked into a cell phone provider,
Sure,
as
same
an example,
thing, yeah,
or a
exactly.
cable provider, and you really dislike what they're doing, and they feel like they have you, and you can't do anything. Well, maybe you can, because you can use the power of the internet now to broadcast your discontent. And
Right.
that's going to hurt brands.
Right. So obviously what you want is you want customers to be actively engaged with your brand. And how do you do that? Well, no big surprise here. It always starts here, is first, leaders have to be excited about their own brand. They have to actually care more about their brand than they do about making money, because in the long term, that's going to make them money.
Sure.
If they're excited about their brand, that filters down through everything. If leaders don't care about the brand, how can they expect their employees or their customers to care about the brand? And the bit about the employees is super important. The excitement that about the brand has to be communicated to employees. This is according to Gallup. According to Gallup, most employees struggle to understand their company's brand premise. Fewer than half of managers, about 46%,
Wow.
and only about 1/3 of non-management employees strongly agree that they know what their company even stands for.
Shocking. Half of managers. That's
Half of
shocking.
You
to
know,
me.
they don't even know what what makes their brand different from their competitors.
Wow.
So I mean, if you can imagine that, you've got a company, and neither your frontline employees nor your management understand what your mission is and what your brand differentiation is. And you expect these people, your frontline people, to actually be carrying the message to the customers. So what customers see is somebody who doesn't care about the brand. So as a customer, why should I care about the brand?
Or even if they care, they're not adequately expressing what that meaning is.
Or what the differentiation is,
You
right?
know, they're hearing different things from different people, and it's just a mishmash of bad experiences.
And I'll tell you one thing that is interesting actually about coming to, let's say, a show like this, is you run across a lot of different companies. Some you can see are excited about their products. I make a little plug here just because we recorded with them yesterday. A good example of a company I think is doing it right is, let's say, Creaform. You meet everybody from that company, from Creaform, and you can tell they are super excited about their product. They know their product, they know their talk to anybody at Creaform, they'll tell you what differentiates their product from their competitors. They know it down. They're excited about their product. You can tell there's a good, solid company culture there that is driving the message down to everybody who works there that this is what we stand for, this is what we want to communicate.
Yeah.
It's really important. If your employees don't understand what the brand is about, how can you expect them to carry it through on the company's mission? It is leadership's job to communicate that excitement and vision.
Agreed. Yeah.
Next, you actually have to care about your employees, especially your frontline employees. Happy employees make happy customers. And if you don't think that's true, just think about 90% of the fast food joints you go into. Hi, can I take your order? Sure, here it is, thank you, bye, so long, right? It's like, you go there because, I want a fast food burger or whatever the heck it is, right? Do you enjoy going there? Do you look forward to going there? Most likely not.
Most likely
and
not.
that's going to add to your negative brand loyalty. You have to have good trainable employees, and you have to make sure they're happy. And that means environment, wages, and benefits.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about a couple of companies that do this really well. I mentioned Costco earlier because Costco's been in the news quite a bit over the last couple years, really. But the same thing applies to maybe, let's say, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods. There's several retailers out there that are doing it right. Wages at Costco are about 40 to 50% higher than comparable big box retail stores. That is huge. You've got other big box stores that are starting at maybe minimum wage up to maybe $10 or $12 an hour. I think the average wage at Costco is something like $17 to $20 an hour. Costco works with the unions, not against them. Their health benefits are very good and mostly paid for by the company. They set an example with upper management wages. In 2012, CEO Craig Jelinek took a salary of about $650,000 with a $200,000 bonus. That's substantial, let's say.
Sure, of course.
I wouldn't mind making $850,000 a year. But let's compare that to Walmart CEO Mike Dukes with a salary of twice that, $1.3 million, and a $4 million bonus. To me, that sends a message. Does the money that the CEO gets really make a difference? No, it doesn't. Other than the message that it sends.
Yeah. And I think this ties in. A lot of what you just said ties in with interestingly, what Bill was talking about, Bill Levinson in his presentation yesterday. This was really this idea that you're going to pay your employees well. And you're not going to try to cheat them out of their share of increasing the benefit of the company.
Right, but Bill's point was you don't have to just decide I'm going to do it. You do it by making your company run more efficiently so that you have that extra, and then you would reinvest that money in your employees. And that's the important part. You reinvest it in the employees.
And the customers
and the customers as well.
And the customers get a better deal too. Everybody, it's a square deal. Everybody gets a better deal.
And that's actually a point that Bill talks about a lot is if you're going to run a company well, and he always points to the original Ford, is you care about your customers, you care about your product, you care about what you're delivering, you care about waste, because waste ultimately affects the bottom line. And you use all of those metrics to kind of build up your brand loyalty.
You do.
How do you know you're delivering the brand promise, is a question Gallup asks. A brand promise is ultimately measured by what customers, employees think and say about the brand. Remember, that's customers and employees, according to Gallup. In other words, ask Apple employees and customers what the Apple brand is all about, and you will get a very consistent answer. I guarantee you ask any Apple fanatic what it's about, almost the first word out of their mouth is going to be innovation. Apple has done just a bang-up job of driving that message down. What we're about is innovation. We care about giving our customers the latest and greatest products. And any Apple fanatic will tell you, whether it's true or not, you can agree or disagree, that is the brand message, and it is out there so strong, it is pretty much indestructible.
And what you talked about, the connection between the employees understanding that and the customers understanding it.
Right.
It's a very synergistic thing. And that's exactly right. If you ask employees, they'd say the same thing. Employees or customers of Apple will say the same thing about Apple. It's an innovative company. That's their heart and soul of what they do. That's why I'm employed by Apple, or that's why I'm a purchaser of Apple products. Right. Because of that innovation. They bring me what I need and what I want going forward. It's interesting.
So, brand loyalty, top down.
Top down. And you know, I had a story actually that I wanted to cover this week, which ties in a lot with some of the stuff that you talked about there, Dirk, and particularly from the top down. It's the Gallup theme, because the story was written by Gallup CEO Jim Clifton, and the name of the article was "Wanted: America's Entrepreneurial Freaks of Nature."
That's a great title.
Great title. It ran in Monday's issue of Quality Digest Daily, and Clifton starts with a question, and he asks, "How do we revitalize the economy and spur long-term growth?" It's on everybody's mind. It's on the mind of everybody here too. Is how do we grow, and what do we need to do to grow? And Clifton's answer, what Clifton has heard is that won't happen until we get more customer demand. Customer demand will jumpstart the economy because they'll want things, right? They'll want to pay their money for things. But demand doesn't just happen. I mean, people don't have demand. Going back to Apple, I mean, Steve Jobs didn't know that the world wanted the iPhone.
Right.
The world didn't know the world wanted the iPhone until Jobs created it. He created the demand by being innovative, and most importantly, having entrepreneurship. Now, we have a lot of innovative people in this country, and you know, great ideas aren't necessarily all that hard to come up with. Everybody has great ideas. What we don't have an overabundance of is truly gifted entrepreneurs.
They're really great ones.
They're the real great ones, like the Steve Jobs. And those are the people, of course, that take great ideas and turn them into great companies. And that generates jobs and creates in-demand products. getting back to demand, it creates a demand through the innovation, the entrepreneurship, and that leads to long-term economic growth. Now, according to Gallup research quoted by Jim Clifton in this article, just 3 out of 1,000 people have the potential to be superstar entrepreneurs, and they looked at a lot of things, not only just intelligence, but confidence and out-of-the-box thinking and rebelliousness. Even there's a lot of things that go into what makes a truly great entrepreneur, and it's different set of skills than what makes a good student or a good engineer or a good many things. Now, up to 5 out of 100 people have the potential on a smaller scale to do these things, to build small and medium-sized businesses.
And that's really important. I mean, the great entrepreneurs, I mean, awesome. It's great to see a jobs come across or somebody like that. But when you figure that 95% of the U.S. economy is small to medium business. Right. It's like you really want a lot of those guys.
you gotta find both of them. Yeah. I mean, again, 3 in 1,000, so 0.3% of people have the potential to be superstar entrepreneurs, but 5% have the potential to be good, solid entrepreneurs that can build good, small, and medium businesses. Now, take those numbers and think about the 30 million kids who are attending high school and middle school right now in this country. That means that there are nearly 100,000 genius level potential entrepreneurs just waiting to be found. And more than 1 million, well more than 1 million, really 1.5 million smaller but no less important business fire starters, those guys and gals that are going to start the smaller companies. So Clifton's assignment to all of us and all of us here at this show is to find these kids, mentor them, encourage them, give them the tools that they need to lead our economy into a new age. Let them create the products that are going to do what? Are going to create and drive the demand that's going to then ignite the overall economy. And another great point that Clifton says about, talks about in this article, is that the kids that are out there that can do this, the superstars and the medium level entrepreneurs potentially, are cut across all levels. I mean, it's boys and girls, it's all cultural backgrounds, it's all religious backgrounds, it's all different kinds of people that can do all different kinds of things. But you don't know where they are if you're not taking the time to find them. Now think about this. If you're a 14-year-old kid in this country and you show amazing basketball or football or figure skating skill or even engineering skill as a scientific skill, you will be found, you will be coddled, and you will be given advantages.
Yeah, scholarships or whatever, yeah.
Whatever, but what are we doing with entrepreneurship? That's really important.
Well, and are we even trying to identify it?
No, and that's the point of this article, is we're not trying, we need to be trying, and I think that's a really good message. And I think it's a good message to share with everybody here, because that's what's going to happen with these companies here too, is they're going to be led by that level of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So what he's saying is that we need to be spotting the potential entrepreneurs, not necessarily the 3 out of 1,000, the super entrepreneurs, but even just those people who seem to have business acumen, those people who would be good business leaders. We need to be spotting them and nurturing them in some way, scholarships?
From the age of the teens and preteens on.
Did he give a hint of how we do this?
Well, mentorships, yeah, absolutely. Internships, teachers have to step up and have to report on kids that they know are showing this kind of, and again, it's not really easily seen. A lot of it's rebelliousnus. Well, and a lot of it is just out of the box weird thinking.
I was going to say that's the other thing that would come into this is I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these super entrepreneurs or even the really solid mid-level business leaders may not have been that good in school.
They may not get good grades.
That's the funny thing.
They may not get good grades.
These guys might not show up on the radar by normal means of spotting talent.
Most of them are probably not A students. They're probably not A students, but
how do you spot them?
Well, because we need to know what those tools are. Read the article. The article has some good information about what that is, and the report's going to be coming from Gallup that's going to have more detail about how you spot those people. So really good stuff there.
Okay. Well, as usual, when we are at these shows, we try to get around to a couple of booths and get them to talk to us about their latest products. Get them to talk to. Yeah, it's really hard to get people to talk to.
Hey, tell us about your product.
We don't want to tell you about our products. Okay. Well, yesterday, Nikon, we went to the Nikon booth, and Nikon described a couple of new products. The first of which we will show you today. Another product we'll show you maybe in a couple of weeks. This is the one you're about to see is Nikon's ALTERA CMM being run with Cameo 8 software. Let's take a look. With Nikon booth here at the Quality Expo in Chicago. I'm with Dave Robinson, the CMM Product Marketing Manager for Nikon.
That's right, that's right.
And what are we going to be looking at today?
Today we've got the new ALTERA range of machines from Nikon Metrology and Cameo software that goes with the range.
And what makes these stand apart from your other models?
Okay, the difference on this model here now is that we have multi-sensor technology as standard on the machine, which gives us the benefit of both technologies that are normally available separately.
And what does that bind for you? I mean, multi-sensors purity has been around for a while. Have you guys had it in your earlier products?
Now we've truly tied the two together, so it's easy for users to swap between technologies or even upgrade their system as new technologies come along.
When you say it's been built with scanning and so forth in mind, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so traditionally CMMs use a touch trigger probe, which is good for general inspection and can measure most features. Scanning probes, which are tactile, have come along recently, and they give other benefits for getting a lot of data very quickly from the CMM. But they have limitations in terms of productivity when you come to a complex surface. So the laser scanner gives you much more productivity on a complex surface like this.
Because it's faster?
Because it's faster at collecting
more
the data.
points. Okay, right.
So the three technologies have their own individual benefits.
Right.
But when you put them together, you extend the scope of the CMM. It's much more flexible.
Well, when you put a scanner on a CMM, are you still constrained by the speed that you would typically use for, let's say, when you're scanning with a touch probe?
No, you get much more data in a much shorter time.
Okay. So what about the motion of the machine itself? Can the machine move faster if you're scanning?
With the machine, normally the machine moves quite quickly in between the measurements with a touch probe, and the measurement is very slowly.
Okay.
Yeah, but with a laser scanner, we're using the almost maximum machine speed all the time.
Okay, so you don't have to slow it down to take data.
You can see here, you could think it's just moving, but it's actually measuring. Okay. It's moving and measuring.
All right.
And another benefit on this system, on the new controller technology, is that that's a continuous motion. So again, traditionally CMMs tend to stop, start.
Right.
And that's not so efficient as continually moving, collecting data.
Okay. And you could swap out this scan probe for a regular touch probe.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the same inspection program could be used. So if a customer starts off with a touch probe, but then they want to get more productivity from the machine or get more data, they can just put on a scanning probe or a laser scanner, and the same inspection program will run, just with a slight modification on some settings. If you move on to the machine one of the aspects of the machine is the material. This material is quite unique within the CMM industry.
Okay.
It's ceramic.
Right.
A lot of competitors use aluminium, or aluminum. And aluminum tends to be less stable over time.
Right.
And these machines go in working environments, so temperature changes and temperature shifts affect the accuracy of the machine.
So ceramic is the preferred material.
So ceramic is a very stable machine, not only in temperature shifts, but over a long period of time. And we guarantee the accuracy of these machines for 10 years. We guarantee that the accuracy of the machine gives on day one will still be there after 10 years. Okay. If not, we will put that right. What you find on an aluminium machine is that it will naturally stress relieve and change over time. The accuracy will change, and at the annual calibration period, the manufacturer will just say, okay, you've got a different accuracy number now, and he'll leave the machine at that. Or he'll charge the customer for the corrective action, which could be a day or two to remap the machine or change components. Okay. So that's a benefit of the structure, if you like.
Okay. And what about software?
Software here is a new product as well. That's Cameo 8, and that has all of the multi-sensor capability built into Cameo.
Okay. And what makes it multi-sensor when you say multi-sensor capability?
So the user can easily switch from one sensor technology to the next, and not have the burden of understanding the different techniques of using that technology.
Oh, because in the past you might have had to work with a probe differently than you worked with a scanner, for instance. Okay.
So now all of the intelligence is built into the software, all the controller, all the actual sensor itself. Okay. So it's a really straightforward process for the user.
Okay. Is there something that you can show us with the software?
Okay. So here we are. We can see David's loading in the CAD model of the part, and he wants to inspect that freeform surface to know if there's any deviation in the surfaces. So he's going to use some of the programming tools, selecting to program a series of scans back and forth over the entire surface. Selects the zone that he's interested in measuring. Can add and remove zones.
So the areas in yellow are the areas he's going to measure?
Those are the ones he's interested in. So he can enter some parameters. The software then calculates the probe path,
Now, what is this we're looking at now then?
Okay, so you're looking at the entire scan path to measure that entire surface. So the software's looked at what probe or what sensor's being used, it's determined the spacing that's necessary, it's maintaining the optimum position of the scanner so that we collect data all the time during the scan, and it's optimized the scan in terms of maintaining a smooth path through the motion.
And then it'll use a different path depending on whether you're using a touch probe or a scanner, right?
Yeah, different scanner with different parameters, you get a different program.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the program's now ready. Clicks OK, and then the machine moves off.
And starts doing
Starts the scanning. Okay. You can see it's all in one continuous motion, which is the most efficient way to collect that data. We're collecting, I'll look it up, but it's about 70,000 points per second.
Okay.
We've got a stripe line there of 60mm stripe, 70,000 points per second.
Okay.
And as those points are being collected, the laser's processing them on the fly so that there's only good data that's returned back to the user.
Right.
And you can see the users, even though we've got different reflectivity on these different surfaces, there's no adjustment for the user. That's all built into the scanner as well. It's adjusting the intensity of the laser on the fly for each one of those 70,000 points.
Okay. That was going to be we're actually scanning a fairly shiny part here.
It's, so you can imagine you've got that line of 1,000 points going along like that. For each one, it's adjusting the intensity.
Okay.
70,000 a second.
Okay. Both the machine and the software, kind of the guiding principle there was just make life easier for the operator, for the programmer,
and also the time.
And the speed, to speed it up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So obviously time's critical. Time's money, effectively.
Right.
So ease of use and productivity. Okay, so now the scan's complete. All of the data is processed back to Cameo, and David can now do some analysis with that. So all those thousands of points have been compared to the CAD model. The areas of red and of blue are considered out of tolerance, and if we want to analyse those out of tolerance areas and get some dimensional deviations, we simply click on them and pull out a flyer, and we can see the material condition, high or low.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so.
And that's just basically point and drag then?
Just point and drag.
Okay.
So instantly you get a yes/no answer with the colour map, and now you can do some further analysis if you need that. So another thing, just for your, customers sometimes slice these components and want to look at the profile around this area because maybe someone's going to mate with it.
Oh, okay, right.
And the odd point here and there doesn't tell them whether it's going to mate.
Right,
it's that profile that's important. Yeah. So we just select the axis of that cut. And the result is a profile which we can then view. So we've just turned off the other layers that we were looking at. We're just adding a bit of colour variation into it now.
Oh, that's fine.
So here David's adjusting the colour map so he can configure the colours he wants to warn him when things are out of tolerance, and minimise those colours if it's too much information.
I see. Yeah? So now it's showing you're getting colour based on the deviation from the nominal.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're getting your little whiskers there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Pretty cool. So kind of the upshot of the whole thing is a machine that's been designed, machine and software that's been designed from the ground up to work more efficiently within a multi-sensor environment.
Yeah,
do I have that right?
Not only that, within multiple environments. Sometimes they go in a nice clean room.
Oh, sure. So
another time they'll go in a factory environment.
So that's another point. So this works well on the shop floor as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's one of the benefits of the ceramic technology. So it's a very stable material in a range of environments, and we can easily correct for any errors that come from the materials.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Dave Robinson of Nikon. All right, and that was it. Thanks. Back to you, Mike.
Many thanks to Nikon Metrology for that great tech corner, which we shot yesterday right here, or actually right over there in their booth. We actually captured another product during that shoot, and you'll see that tech corner on an upcoming episode of Quality Digest Live coming up very soon.
That'll be a vision system?
Yep, that's coming up probably in a couple of weeks, so look out for that.
Right.
Well, that's our show, but before we go, we'd like to also thank Nikon Metrology for sponsoring this week's episode of Quality Digest Live. Nikon Metrology offers the most complete and innovative metrology product portfolio, including state-of-the-art vision measuring instruments complemented with optical inspection and mechanical 3D metrology solutions. These reliable and innovative products respond to the advanced inspection requirements of manufacturers active in consumer, automotive, aerospace, electronics, medical, and or other industries. So for more information, visit online at www.nikonmetrology.com or just click on the banner ad right below our video player screen right down there.
That's right. Well, thank you for joining us live here from Quality Expo in Chicago. I got to say that it has actually been quite a bit of fun.
Yeah.
One nice thing about being inside is that it's a lot cooler than it is outside.
It's warm out there.
Boy, I tell you, everybody, taxi cab drivers are going, man, it's like, haven't been this hot in September in a long time. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you next week with QDD and another week at QDL next week. See you.
That's right. So long.
Bye.
Entrepreneurship.